Hello and welcome to Car Dealer Live. I'm James Batchelor and thank you very much for joining us for these live broadcasts on the Car Dealer YouTube channel. Now today I am delighted to say we have got Jonathan Goodman on the show. He's the CEO of Polestar Cars in the UK and also its head of communications. Hello, Jonathan.
James, hello. Great to join you. Thank you very much for the invitation.
No, it's lovely to have you on. Now, just before we get started, just a quick bit of background about the brand. Polestar is Volvo's spin-off electric car brand, so to speak. It launched last year with the Polestar 1 plug-in hybrid coupe and the Tesla Model 3 rivaling Polestar 2 hatchback. Now, Polestar also rolled out some 40 Polestar Spaces around the world in 2020, with the UK space allocated to London's Westfield shopping centre. Now, despite launching in the middle of a global pandemic, the brand is making waves on the global scale. Jonathan is the UK CEO. He will be familiar to you, along with various roles within Volvo. He started his career with Peugeot and rose to become its UK MD, a role he had between 2009 and 2011. Just before we came on air, I was reminiscing with Jonathan how he was one of the first people I ever interviewed for Car Dealer as a motoring journalist, and I made a complete fool of myself. So hopefully I will not be repeating that experience today. This is a live show, so feel free to pop your questions in the comments box if you want to, but we'll start with mine. Now, Jonathan, Polestar, as I said, launched last year. I think it was 850 cars sold in the UK last year, about that. That's more than, heritage brands like Maserati and new brands like Cupra. I mean, that's not bad for a new brand, is it? I mean, how would you describe last year?
Well, last year obviously was, a setup year. It's the first time when you start delivering the cars. A new brand with a new premise and an online brand, so it was kind of a new idea for a lot of customers. And we're very pleased. We were absolutely where we wanted to be last year. Great reaction from our customers to the car. So yeah, I think it was a great start and a premise of more to come.
Yeah. Now, as we know, electric car sales are growing in the UK, growing very quickly, 108,000 pure EVs last year. How would you describe the wider context, though, in regards to infrastructure? And do you think the UK government could be doing a little bit more to encourage people to go electric? I mean, how would you describe the wider picture?
Well, I think that, there is a clear trend that is just accelerating towards electric cars. You're seeing all the manufacturers moving, and so from that perspective, for us, it's a great time to launch a brand as an exclusively EV manufacturer. I think that the UK is lagging a bit behind, certainly in terms of infrastructure, when you compare with countries like Norway, with countries like Sweden, indeed with countries like Germany. But I think the whole of Europe has got progress to make in terms of infrastructure. I think the government's made some good steps. I think that the OLEV grants, the incentives they're putting in place help people along the path. But I think there is a really big amount of work to do to actually put an even more larger and broader fast charging infrastructure into the UK. And I think that the government has taken steps. They're investing money into it, but I think more needs to be done. If we want to be at that, with that ambitious target that the government said that we move to a non-ICE environment by in not very many years' time, to be quite honest, then they've got to make sure the infrastructure follows it. And I think that's a mixture of private and public. But yeah, I'd expect the government to continue to invest and to do more to generate what we completely support as their global approach.
Yeah. There is work to be done in terms of, sort of myth busting, isn't there? Because I think a lot of people still think electric cars, that they're bad for the environment. There's all these, reasons to prevent people from actually going electric. I mean, I know Polestar have done a lot of work on this. What with the big report that you published last year about trying to be a bit more transparent. I mean, do you think you could just tell us a little bit about that and what the point of it was and why it was so groundbreaking, really?
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the things the advantages of starting afresh is you can look at whole aspects of the business and say, well, how can we be better with the customers? How can we be better in terms of transparency? And I think as an industry, we have to accept that transparency is not something which we're renowned for. So can we break that mold? And we wanted to be very upfront from day one in saying, what is the carbon footprint? How much does it actually cost to build and produce a Polestar 2? That of course it takes energy, and there's a carbon footprint to building that EV. And so we very, very clearly stated, well, here is the carbon footprint. We've implemented blockchain technology on the extraction of metals like cobalt, so that the customer who buys a Polestar can get in the car with total confidence that they know that it's been ethically mined, it's been transported, it's been effectively having what you call a digital ledger that says every step of the way of that cobalt, they've got confidence in knowing that it's been done correctly. And I think that those are massively important steps. We fully accept we've got progress to make. We can make our manufacturing more efficient, and we are driving a change towards completely green energy based factories. Our factory in China at Chengdu is now 100% renewable energy. And these are areas that will help reduce the carbon footprint. But I think what doesn't change is that when that car is on the road, and with increasing amounts of renewable energy available to the public in the UK, when that car is on the road, it will emit less CO2 than a standard ICE engine. And that will not change. So the longer it's on the road, the more benefit there will be. And we will continue to put a real accent on improving all aspects of our business and our supply chain to reduce the carbon footprint. But what we've done is said from day one, here's where we are, here's where we're aiming to be. And we've encouraged the rest of the industry to follow a similar plan. And we'll have to see what their reaction is.
Yeah. And I think, I really do hope the industry does follow your lead, because, I mean, roughly at the same time, there was a big sort of furore when another report came out and sort of poo-pooing the idea of electric cars. And as we discovered it became quite controversial. It's a shame, really, isn't it? There does seem to be a big resistance towards electric cars, particularly amongst some of the sort of the legacy brands who are obviously focused on ICE cars. Do you think that's one of the reasons why Polestar was created? Because you could very easily have just made electric Volvos, but it's a nice thing to do to actually create a standalone brand and to say to people, look, we're doing things differently, and there's a different ethos around the brand.
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about the other manufacturers. They'll have to talk about themselves. What we wanted to do, and the job that Thomas and myself, when we came over from Volvo, were given, was to set Polestar up as a standalone brand. Yeah, we're 50% owned by Volvo and we're 50% owned by Geely. But it was always the objective to have a standalone brand that could take its own approach to market, that didn't have the infrastructure heritage of an existing OEM brand, but could say, what's the right way to approach this? We're in a modern world. So, we took two fundamental steps. One was to say that we as a company wanted to be an online brand predominantly, so that people can go and do the research on the brand, order the car online, they can organize a demonstration online, and not have to go into what I'm afraid you have to say can be an intimidating environment, which is go into a dealer network. And I don't blame car dealers for this. I think manufacturers have a lot to answer for, and I was part of that. When you're wholesaling cars into a dealership, are you then surprised when the dealers are focusing their retailing activity on the cars they've got in stock? Now, if that car is not something that I want to order as a customer, and I've come in having done my research and go into a car dealership, and then someone says, no, I know you want the black one. I know that's really interesting, but actually I've got a red one round the back and it's got $2,500 off it. Why don't we have a look at that? Well, I don't think that's the buying experience of the 21st century. What we wanted to establish was take that pressure away, put the customer in control to be able to research, order their car. Then, and I think this is a fundamental part, say, right, we also want them to physically interact with the product. clearly you're talking about a £50,000 car. Someone wants to see it, touch it, and feel it. And there we've partnered with retail partners who are existing Volvo dealers, but we've said, look, we want you to do it differently. We want you to establish a Polestar space in the places where people go to shop. So why do they have to drive out of town to get a car? Why not be able to come in, shop where they're going for their groceries, where they're going for their clothes, and there's a Polestar space. They can go in and they can interact with the product, and they walk in there. It's non-intimidating. It's 250, 300 square meters. It's staffed entirely by product specialists who are product experts, can answer any question, none of whom are paid commission. Why? Because you as the customer sign online. So they're just there to answer your question. And James, what we believe passionately is if we get it right, and we believe we are, it will put the fun back into buying a car again. And I think that's something that we as an industry need to do. And we're very confident that with our retail partners who are doing a great job for us, we'll be in that position where we can make buying a Polestar a fun experience.
Yeah. I mean, as I indicated in the intro, you've got one at Westfield Shopping Centre. I mean, a number of manufacturers have done this before with varying levels of success. I mean, how are you going to make this a success? Is it about trying to entice people in and not selling to them? It's about explaining the product and be perfectly willing for them just to walk out and walk into WH Smith's, for example, and not actually ask for a test drive or buy a car. What is the ethos behind having this space? Yeah,
I mean, I think it's exactly that. There are times when you want to pop in and find out some information. It might be someone who's not heard about Polestar before. They're in Westfield, or they're in the Trafford Centre in Manchester, where our second one opened, and they're saying, well, what's that? I'll go in and have a look for 10 minutes. They can go in, they can just get an overview of it and go, oh, wow, interesting, and then be directed online where they can find out more. Equally, if they want to come in, touch the product and drive the car, because we'll have demos downstairs at the Westfield Centre so people can book a test drive, they're able to do that. But just actually to make sure that the customer is in control. So the first thing our people in the spaces have to learn is got to listen to the customer. So I've got 5 minutes. Okay, I'm not going to give you a 10-minute walk around the car. I'll do a quick 5-minute overview. Customer says, look, I'm really interested in the battery technology. Explain the battery technology rather than have a predefined way of explaining the car. But I think it makes it a far more enjoyable experience. You're not then going to be faced with an order being placed under your nose saying, well, are you going to buy one? No, you'll make that decision. And we're pretty confident. And the initial reactions last year and around the other European countries is that approach is working, that people do enjoy it. And then when you add it to when they own the Polestar 2 and drive it, they're then able to have pickup and delivery servicing. So they don't have to go and queue up at service reception at 8 o'clock in the morning to get their car serviced. We'll come and pick it up from home. They'll have the reassurance of knowing that it's a trained Volvo technician that's used to dealing with that platform who will maintain the car and work on it, but they don't need to queue up to do it. So I just think it's taking out some of those pinch points and elements of frustration that customers have with the motor industry, working with great retail partners, which is a key part of our business, and delivering exemplary customer service. And if we get that right, then I think we can challenge the existing model, but at the same time support it, because we have 102 service points around the UK that are all existing Volvo dealers who are brilliantly trained and qualified to work on electric vehicles. And you'll have the same platform on our cars as will be on the Volvo cars today and in the future. So I think it is a great balance between something different, but the reassurance of knowing that you're going to have trained people working on your car.
Yeah. Is there a potential problem on the horizon here with high streets, footfall falling in high streets, perhaps people not going to shopping centres as much as they used to, they're buying things online, they don't have to go to a shopping mall. Being located in such a traditional retail environment, could that cause problems? Could you effectively end up just by thinking, actually, a shopping centre is not getting the footfall that we need, we actually need to open a dealership?
I don't think that's going to happen, but then I'm not a clairvoyant. was quite interesting. I was looking and 12 months ago I was in China, working over there. Coronavirus was a speck on the horizon. 12 months later, here we are, in the grips of it. Horrendous, horrendous for individuals, for health, horrendous for businesses. But so I think to be too matter of fact and blasé about what's going to happen in the future is different. But no, we believe that we have a different approach to retail. If you'd been, as I was, in the Westfield Centre in December, I don't think footfall is an issue. There were thousands of people, and we're getting huge amounts of footfall through the dealership on a daily basis. So I don't think that is an issue. But is it the right thing in every single town? I don't know. We're not going to have a network of 50 Polestar Spaces in the UK. We don't need that. I need our space operators to be profitable, and I need to have access in the main metropolitan centres. So we'll expand a little, but we're not going to go absolutely mad with it. And we can deliver a test drive to your home. We will deliver the car to your home or to your office when it's time to pick it up. So you've got a whole different set of dynamics, which I think are very much in line with where the customers are. They want to be able to do stuff online. They want to be able to order online. We're seeing an acceleration of that tendency. And that's the way our brand is designed. But at the same time, you can interact physically with the product as well. So I think we get the best of both worlds, and we're pretty confident that model will continue to move forward in the UK.
Yeah. On a wider level, there's been much discussion within the motor trade about agency sales, and the Polestar Spaces sort of fit into that a little bit, where the manufacturer is effectively talking to the customer through non-commissioned salespeople, specialists. Do you think that is the way the motor trade is going, and moving away from this traditional dealership structure?
I think I don't think it can be as simple as that, because I think that you've got retail partners who've invested huge amounts of money at the manufacturer's behest in tremendous facilities that they've got. And I don't think you can just simply draw a line under it and say, no, that's not the way forward, which I guess is, one of the advantages you have as a newcomer is that you don't have the baggage, if you like, that's already been established. You can reimagine it. The big point for us was we wanted from day one to work with retail partners. So, I know from experience that the manufacturer is not necessarily the best operator of a dealership, and the retail partners do it better than us. So we wanted to do them. We spoke to a number of UK dealers and dealer groups, got a good response. We've got partners who are very committed to our way of doing the business. It's also potentially a very, very profitable business for them. They can make good money, and I need my retail partners to make money, so that they are remain completely committed to driving that level of service and customer care that's essential for us as a new brand. So I think it's the right way for us. I think you'll see elements of it creeping into other manufacturers, but they have got their infrastructures in place, and I don't think you can just tear that up and start again.
Yeah. We were talking about how last year was a good year, especially for a new brand. Do you, how much, it's difficult to quantify, I know, but how much do you think the pandemic actually affected Polestar? Do you think you could have doubled your actual car sales last year, or could you have had a much more successful year if, for instance, it was difficult to actually buy a car for half of the year last year?
James, we only started delivering cars in September. So I don't think that, if you do a couple of hundred more because you weren't locked down during a certain period, yes, maybe. But one of the key things for us, we're not chasing a volume. And I think that's one of the big disadvantages. We're establishing the concept, we're growing the volumes, and we will grow them this year substantially. Which is great news for us. It's great news for the retail partners. But I don't think as an industry we've chased volumes for too much. Would I prefer us not to be in lockdown now? Yes, absolutely. Then I could have a Trafford Centre space and a Westfield space that are operating, where they've made the investment and they can be operating and generating the enthusiasm that they have. But does it stop us functioning as a company? No. That's where being an online brand, being able to talk about the brand, being able people to discover the brand. Yeah, I would love people to be able to demo the cars, but you have to respect the government rules and regulations. They're there to protect us. So we can't do customer demos at the moment, but we'll be back hopefully as soon as possible to actually offer the cars and give people the wonderful driving experience that driving a Polestar is.
Yeah, yeah. Quite a few of my colleagues have been saying to me that when they've been driving a Polestar 2, there seems to be a lot of interest in the car. People are saying, "Oh, what's that? You know, what does the badge mean?" How would you describe brand awareness at the moment? Is there a job to be done to get more people to know about Polestar?
Yeah, there's a huge job to be done. There are a lot of people still not aware about us, and that's one of the fundamentals of establishing a retail footprint and talking about it, involved in the marketing and the test drive activities. What we're seeing is the people that find out about us really like the brand. Everyone thinks their children are the most beautiful, but obviously I think it's a stunning looking car. I think it really is a great car to look at. It's a great car to drive. It's very beautifully appointed inside. It's very easy to use as well and intuitive to use. And I think you've got that whole thrill of electric car performance, which if people haven't driven an electric car, I think takes their breath away a little bit. So I think there's a great opportunity for us with this brand. But yeah, the big job we have ahead is to make more people aware of Polestar, get more people to drive Polestar. And if people do that, and we succeed in doing that, then I'm certain we have a very, very successful future in the UK.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've had a couple of questions come in. You'll be pleased to hear that Leo, he owns a Polestar too. He absolutely loves it. Thanks for getting in touch, Leo. But a question here from Peter, who says that the higher cost of EVs seem to be a barrier for most people. Will Polestar be releasing smaller and cheaper EVs in the near future? There is a cost issue here at the moment. This will obviously improve the closer we get to 2030, but cost is still a big deciding factor for a lot of people at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point. We've said when we launch Polestar 2 that we will introduce other versions of it. We're getting close to that, and we'll be able to announce things a little bit later on in this year. So there will be other derivatives that are available, which still offer that Polestar look and feel, but at the same time can maybe get to a price point which interests more people. By the same token, we're a premium manufacturer, and I think that there is a huge amount of a company car market in the UK where you've got the zero benefit in kind, which makes it a hugely appealing offer in that segment, and we're succeeding a lot in there. We're also succeeding in retail, but totally accept the point. We need to make it more accessible to more people, and that's part and parcel of what we'll do through this year. So I would just say to that person, watch this space.
Yeah, yeah. Are you sort of investigating car subscription models? Because I know Volvo is, and it does seem to be an interesting sort of path, or interesting road the industry is taking. It's running in parallel with the traditional forms of car ownership. Are you considering doing that for Polestar? And
Yeah.
it seems to be perfectly geared up for electric cars, really, doesn't it?
I think it was perfectly geared up. It's one of the funding elements we're looking at, and we'll certainly be introducing subscription. I think for my mind, it is, you have a lot of people who haven't experienced electric cars. They don't. What's it going to cost me to run? And if you can introduce a subscription model that just gives them total clarity. This is what I pay a month. All I have to pay on top of that is the actual charging of the vehicle, and they'll be pleasantly surprised at how much they'll save over a petrol or a diesel car doing that. So I think that is part and parcel of what we've got to do going forward. It's the subscription offers that clarity. Said, wow, okay, I know exactly what I'm paying. It takes away the uncertainty. Subscription also generally is linked to renting the car rather than owning the car, so you're not worried about residual values. I think the residual values of electric cars are quite exciting for the future, so that isn't a problem for us to do. And I think, like all things, you need a blend. You need a blend of finance offers, and we'll gradually roll that out. But I think subscription can just take away uncertainty if people have that, and it's something which was very much in the ethos of Polestar when we started. What you're also finding is there's enormous interest in leasing, personal leasing, and business contract hire. Those are the key funding options that we want, as well as your standard finance. So yeah, I think subscription has a role to play, and I believe that it will be an important role to play. But I guess ultimately the customer decides, and we'll see how that goes.
So that's something you're looking at then?
Yep, definitely.
Yeah.
From when we first started out, that was one of the routes we wanted to go. Not necessarily, I mean, subscription has many forms. Subscription for me offers somebody total clarity on what they will pay a month to have the vehicle. Some people want to offer short-term subscriptions, 3 to 4 months. Is that something, as a new startup, it's probably not something we're looking at right now. Do we expand into that at a later date? Potentially, but right now I don't need to do that. We've got kind of demand is outstripping supply, which is where you'd always want to be.
Yeah, and I could actually see that working quite well in a Polestar space, really, because it's having a conversation with a customer and a potential customer, and just finding out what the best way of owning a car is. So it just promotes those conversations, doesn't it?
Exactly, and then for them to be able to go in and do the research online and see what their different options are. And I think we've got a very, very well regulated finance community and finance offers in the UK, which also helps look after the customer. So I think that's an important part of it. But yeah, I think subscriptions part and parcel of it, outright purchase, leasing, contract hire. We need to be able to offer the customer all, and then the customer can make an informed choice.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to make you sound old, because you're not, but you've had a long career in the car industry. How would you describe last year? And also on a personal level, has it changed the way your outlook and the way you conduct business?
I guess, and I was reminded by my kids, I've been 34 years in the car industry, and it seems like yesterday. But I think two things. One, 3 years ago, when I got given the opportunity to come to Polestar and to head up the operations at Polestar, it took about 30 seconds to make the decision, because you're being offered the chance to launch a new brand, to reflect on the experience you've got over those 34 years and say, how can we take the best bits of the industry and how can we try and eliminate some of the things that annoy customers? And you get that opportunity once in a lifetime, and this was mine. So it was that's changed my rationale. It's enabled me to question some of the things that we've done in the past and say, simple example, our retail investors do not hold any stock. We do not wholesale vehicles into our dealers. And I think that the whole wholesaling process, to my mind, it creates pressures on the dealer network, which are driven by the manufacturer. And I think that that's wrong. I think that the dealers are hugely committed. There aren't too many people around boards in manufacturers who've put 1 million or 2 million of their own money into the business. All of the retail investors have. So I think that you've got to give them a playing field where they can deliver what they want to deliver, which is excellent care. We've taken that part of the equation out so that the stock is our stock, and that enables the retailer to focus on the job of how do I deliver customer care. So I think that though that's the excitement with which I've found being involved in Polestar has given me. The last 12 months, I think we've all learned a huge amount. Was I a great believer 12 months ago about working from home? Was I one of those people that maybe poo-pooed it a little bit? Yeah, perhaps I did. And then suddenly you realize that you can be hugely efficient working from home, that your teams can be very efficient. Do you need to be 5 days a week in an office? No, I don't think you do anymore. And I don't think when this all lifts, I can't see us going back to that type of environment again. I think it gives people more quality time at home, which is good for them. I've got the most committed team of people I've ever worked with here. And to see that, we've met once in 7 months physically. And I guess that kind of illustrates that you can start a business, run a business, drive a business in a different way to the one that I'm used to. So I think that's been a learning curve. And I think to just see the trends of digitalization, my mother and father-in-law are in their mid-80s. They now order their groceries online. 12 months ago, they didn't. If they're ordering groceries online, I think it has accelerated the whole move to a digital environment. It's a reassurance for us from the way in which we set up the brand from the get-go, which is we wanted to be, a digital first brand. I think that was the way to go. It's the right decision, and that's been reinforced. But, and I think it also maybe makes us all a little bit more human. We're working, we want to sell cars. I think when you deal with a tragedy like we've had with COVID, it kind of makes you pause and reflect on, well, where are the priorities here? And one of the priorities has to be the well-being of the people that work for you. And I think that's been a good sense check. I wish it wasn't as painful a sense check for everyone around the globe, but it's been a sense check. And I think we've got to look at how we come out of this stronger, both in the way in which we work, the way we look after our people, and then how as an industry can we rebuild this tremendous car industry in the UK to make sure that we are a force for the future. And I see no reason why we can't do that. There'll be a lot of challenges, but we're doing a part of that. We've got our R&D centre that we've established in the UK in Coventry. We have 130 engineers who are working on the Polestars of the future. That for me illustrates the importance of the UK, the talent pool that there is here, that we can pull these guys in who are helping us to develop the Polestars of the future. And for me to be in charge of the UK and working with those teams as well is a really exciting part of this UK challenge.
Yeah. Just quickly about Polestars of the future. Another question has come in, just asking about what's the planned schedule of updates and improvements to the model, to the Polestar 2, because of course that's what Tesla's done very well, isn't it? It's this idea that the car is ever evolving. So is that something that Polestar's doing, constantly updating their cars?
Yeah, I think we're starting over-the-air updates now, and we will have a program of over-the-air updates through 2021 that we'll be rolling out. Exactly that. So you can make the software improvements that enhance the car, add additional functionality, and I think that's part and parcel that we've learned from Tesla, and we've learned from the mobile phone industry. We've all seen the updates we get on a regular basis to the phone to get rid of bugs, to add functionality. Well, we'll be doing the same with Polestar, and I think it's an exciting part of the business. So the answer to that is yes, and we'll have a program rolling out of those really through the whole of 2021 and beyond.
Yeah. Does that also include improvements in range as well?
Well, there are one or two things that are going on, so I won't steal the thunder of announcing them. I know you'd love me to, James, but I have to keep a modicum of dignity here and say, well, we will have lots of pretty exciting things. But I guess one of the important things for us is share that with our customers. They should be the first to know when we're doing these things, and then make sure we're open and upfront with the industry and with our friends in the press to say, hey, here's the latest thing that's coming from Polestar. So yeah, there will be a number of updates that will be good news for a Polestar driver.
Fantastic. Finally, Jonathan, it is a classic question here, but in your 34 years in the industry, you voluntarily gave up that number. I didn't push you.
I know.
What would be your career highlight? What is something that you hold up as the finest in your career so far?
If I can go with two, I'm enormously proud of the work I did as head of global communications at Volvo, helping to take a brand that was known but at 450,000 cars a year globally, and promote not only the CEO Håkan Samuelsson, enable his vision to be seen in the industry. And when I look at the way that Volvo is now, 650,000 cars a year. Very much seen as an innovator, very much seen as the cutting edge, very much a voice that's listened to. I'm very proud of the role I played in that. And then, to be honest with you, the biggest highlight of my career, and it's lovely that it comes later, isn't it, is being involved in this whole Polestar operation, to take a brand from scratch, to launch that brand, and now to be in the UK overseeing how we take the brand forward, how we launch the brand, how we build customer databases from a zero start. I think that this is probably the most exciting adventure I've been on, and one of the most fulfilling. So yeah, I don't have a problem getting out of bed in the morning. It's very easy to bounce into work, and I think you have to look at it. I think the best is yet. There's lots of things I'm proud of in the past, proud of the work we did at Peugeot in the UK. But I think the best is yet to come. And I think the most exciting part of my career is going to be the next few years building Polestar in the UK and globally. So very excited about that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, Peugeot is another brand that is just done much like Volvo, has done an about turn really, and really improved in the UK and globally. It's an amazing success story. But that's pretty good, having two career highlights. I don't think I've got one yet, so that's pretty good going. But anyway, we're going to have to call it a day, unfortunately. But Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a proper catch up and a good chat about the brand. So thanks for coming on.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks a lot, James.
That's it for today. If you'd like to be involved in a car dealer live just like this one, then please do email me, james.batchelor@blackballmedia.co.uk. But until next time, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.